Good morning and welcome to Church at Home with Rachael for Friday, the 10th of December. Wow, time is coming quickly. Christmas Eve is only 2 weeks away, which means lots of work to be done, probably lots of scurrying for people to pick up Christmas presents and get them wrapped and under the tree. Lots of work for Santa Claus to get finished up in time for with his elves for the big delivery night. So times they call us to scurry, but sometimes we need to slow down. Because today is Friday, it's my day off. Usually it's the day I take my Sabbath time since Sundays are kind of busy. I'm thinking a lot about not scurrying today. I'm thinking a lot about trying to take time and just be, to rest and relax, to pray, to read, to watch some TV, to sit and talk to my husband, to play with my dog. All those things that are life-giving and hopeful. And so in thinking about not scurrying and hurrying, but taking time, I've been considering sitting with my coffee and thinking about all the time, all the times, not all the times obviously, but some of the times in my life when I have been surprised in times of not scurrying by incredible peace and beautiful realizations. One of the things that I really have been thinking a lot about, I think probably because of the anniversary of my ordination to the priesthood, but thinking a lot about a time when between my first and second year of my Master's of Divinity degree, I had the privilege of going out to Newfoundland to be present for my friend the Kevin George's ordination to the diaconate. I was at the cathedral in St. John's, but I had the privilege of staying with his brother and sister-in-law and his niece just down the street from his parents, just down the road from his parents' house in Whiteway in Newfoundland on Trinity Bay. And his lovely bride, Catherine Ann, and I went for a walk one evening. It was end of August and it was a bit chilly. We had our coats on. And we were walking down the road and just chatting, and beautiful sunset. The sky was kind of pink and everything. And all of a sudden, for some reason, we'd been walking for quite some time. And Catherine Ann turned around for a second and looked back, and she told me, "You got to look quick." And I looked, and this beautiful sunset that had been all pinks and misty whites and things like that had completely been transformed into this array of sort of a mixture from light pink, almost orange, to this purpley, deep rouge color. It was absolutely phenomenal. And then I climbed down on some rocks and she took a picture of me with this incredible backdrop. It's still, well, I never like pictures of myself. It's still one of my favorite pictures because that is one of the most spectacular sunsets I have ever seen. This sunset over Trinity Bay. Just absolutely beautiful. And on top of that, enjoying the conversation with her, being able to be present that week for Kevin's ordination and getting to know his family, beautiful people, and meeting two people that later in life would become part of my extended family through Rob. I met Kevin's, I think he's his nephew, John Hensel Drover, and his wife Sandra, who then went on later in life. They were both in seminary at the time. They went on in life to become Anglican priests themselves, and then John joined the military and went through basic training with Rob, and they've been friends since then. And Sandra has continued with an illustrious career as a priest, bouncing across the country from one end to the other, following her husband and landing on her feet. And Kevin is now, has his doctorate, and he's a canon at St. Aidan's in London and doing a wonderful job. And Catherine Ann has become a lieutenant commander, and she is the chaplain at my alma mater, Brescia University College in London, an all-women's school where I did my undergraduate degree. So looking back on that night and thinking about not just that beautiful sunset and what happened, that I turned around at Catherine Ann's behest and saw this incredibly beautiful gift of God, a painting in the sky that no artist could ever render true repetition. No one could ever truly recreate what God created that night. But then on top of that, all of the things that came out of it, the beautiful opportunity for me to meet his family, his mom and dad, to witness his large family, his large Newfoundland family, and all of their glory, just the excitement and the wonder and the bigness of big families. And then seeing what happened later in life. I didn't know that Kevin would be, and Catherine Ann would move back to the Diocese of Huron. I didn't know that meeting John and Sandra would mean meeting someone who would be a part of our lives, into my husband's career, a husband I didn't even know existed yet. I wouldn't for many years to come. The way that God drops into our lives, those moments of beauty, those moments of God's gift of the moment that we think is just a moment, that becomes something even greater. They're so beautiful that they can't be hurried by. Too often we miss those moments, I think, those moments that can mean something right now and can turn out to mean a lot more later on when we see the unfolding of the plan that God has had and shared with us through that. So many things, very many things have changed. I think about the moments of that took me to the places that have meant the most to me. Recognizing things like the farm. I didn't grow up there. We were there like quite often, lots of weekends, lots of summer times, lots of Christmases, Easters, probably even some Thanksgivings. We were there so often on weekends that there were probably some Thanksgivings in there. But recognizing those moments of peace and hope and joy, moments of laughter. I had a great time when I was 16. I turned 16 and I was at my grandparents' farm, just supposed to be for a week, and extended into 3 weeks over my 16th birthday. And it was probably one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given, because that was the last summer I had with both my grandparents. My grandmother died the following Christmas Day, and my grandfather died 9 months later on September 27th. And that 3 weeks with them, I again saw beautiful sunsets and got to go hang out with my cousin and his girlfriend, who is now his longtime wife, and has 2 beautiful grown daughters. My cousin Scott. We went swimming in the Saugeen River down at my great uncle's cottage. I took my bike. My parents brought my bike up, and I rode my bike all around the concessions, and just got to see that part of the world from a different perspective than I had when I was with my parents in the car or with my grandparents doing something. But also the recognition that in that time there were so many memories that were created because we didn't hurry. There was no scurrying. One of the things that we did was we painted the back kitchen, my Aunt Evelyn and I. And my grandmother had this great love of this very odd green-blue color. It was the color of the back kitchen and the outside of the back kitchen and all the trim on the house. And it was bright, and probably for my grandmother, it was a little bit of a lightness of being that gave her on a farm where she was busy and cooking and taking care of children and grandchildren and animals and gardens and doing all of the things that she did so well. But when it came time to repaint, somehow or other, we did convince her that we should paint it in a lovely sort of chocolate brown. And my aunt and I painted and went up ladders and painted windowsills and all of those things. And I have never laughed so hard in my life. And there was no hurry. There was no sense that we had to get this done by a certain time. We had all the time in the world, and we were able to connect, and I was able to contribute something to that farmhouse that meant so much to me, that I had a part in it like I never had before. Those moments, a moment I remember when I wasn't scurrying, when my grandmother had made tomato sandwiches and apple pie. My grandfather was type 2 diabetic, and we were on warning order that he was to eat his tomato sandwiches first and then have one piece of pie. And he skipped the tomato sandwiches and ate more than one piece of pie. And my aunt was trying to try to catch up with them. And my grandfather, who was pretty staid and pretty, pretty solemn, watching him tiptoe out one door of the kitchen, out to the front veranda, and around the house, and around the back kitchen door, and back in as my aunt chased him through the house, was one of the funniest moments of my life. A moment that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't taken the time to stop and say, I don't need to be in a hurry. I can stay and spend some time at the farm. Life will continue. I had to get back to home between grade 10 and 11 and, get a part-time job and all those things. But I was able to take some extra time and just be present. Sometimes I think we need to stop the scurrying and the hurrying. Yes, this time of year there's lots we have to do, and we don't want to disappoint anyone, so of course we do. But in those times, maybe it's while you're wrapping those presents that you hurry to buy, or maybe you take an extra 15 minutes when everybody else is in bed before you go to bed and just take some time to be present, to listen, to have a cup of tea or a cup of hot chocolate and think about the day you've had and what we're doing in this Christmas time, as this Advent preparing for Christmas. Take some time to really pay attention to those moments when God says, pull up a seat. Just sit down for a while, put up your feet, and let's talk. Let's just sit together. Let's be aware. There's no need to hurry. There's no need to scurry. Look at the beauty that is surrounding you. I pray that this weekend you will have some opportunities to do just that, to put your feet up, to sit down with God or with someone that you love. Maybe call up a neighbor or a friend in the phone and say, how are you? And just allow yourself to be present. Show yourself some self-compassion. Allow yourself to be in the moment, to enjoy breathing and listening and acknowledging that this life that we have, which really is fleeting and short, is so incredibly beautiful. And then reach out to others and tell them how you're feeling. Let them know you love them. Let them know you're thinking of them. Maybe write some Christmas cards, old-fashioned style, not email. Pop them in the mail. Everybody loves to get something in the mailbox. But take some time to stop the scurrying and appreciate what God has placed before you. Have a wonderful day. God bless you. I'll see you Sunday for our Advent 3 We Parish mini worship, or I will see you Monday for Church at Home with Rachael. God bless you, and may you have a gentle, unhurried weekend.